Paula Jager from Tampa, Florida. Welcome to my kitchen. When I adopted the Primal lifestyle several years ago, my health, fitness, and life in general improved dramatically. But I'm a Southern girl at heart, and I will admit, my Southern Living Annual Recipes collection dates back to 1979, so many of my favorite recipes, including my beloved shrimp and grits, were now off limits. So what's a Primal girl to do? Well, I got in the kitchen, I started experimenting, and I took many of the principles from the Primal Blueprint and applied them to my favorite Southern recipes. What happened or emerged was a recreation of my favorite dishes. Not only were they more healthy, but they were more delicious and more satisfying. Well, it's a Sunday afternoon and my favorite place to spend it is in the kitchen. And we're fixing to cook up some shrimp and grits, Primal style. Would y'all like to join us? Well, let's get started. My chickens might have been raised on a farm, but I sure don't want my shrimp to be. Born to be wild, and that's the way you want to purchase them. If you happen to live in an area and you can find the shrimp with the heads on, that's even better. There's a lot of fat and guts in the heads, and that's going to lend to a superior flavor, more nutrient rich, and add a gel-like consistency to the stock that we're getting ready to make. Okay, don't be squeamish. You can use gloves if you want to. I don't like to use gloves. I don't like to when I lift either. But anyway, we're going to grab the shrimp by the head, and you're going to hold firmly with your index finger and your thumb, and you're just going to twist, and then you're going to take care to remove the rest of the shell, the tail, which you can pinch and it'll slide right off, and the legs. All right, once you've got all your heads and shells in the pot, we're going to add a few more ingredients, and then we're going to put our stock on to cook. We've got some onions here. I'm going to use 2. I had 2 pounds of shrimp shells. I leave the skins on, and these are, they're going to impart a little bit more flavors. These are organic onions, and they are local from Plant City, Florida. I always buy local vegetables when I can. We're going to also put in some celery. I had 2 stalks there, 1 carrot, and I'm going to put in some lemon, squeeze a little bit of that. The reason I use a lemon is it's an acid medium, and it's going to help draw out some of the minerals in the shrimp heads and shells. All right, we're going to add some flavoring to it. We're going to add a bay leaf. We're going to add some thyme. Doesn't have to be exact, maybe about a ½ teaspoon or so, just enough to impart a little bit of flavor. We're also going to put in some oregano. Probably about 5 or 6 black peppercorns. Okay. And a generous pinch of sea salt. Yeah, maybe not quite that generous. And we're going to cover that with some water. As your stock starts to boil, a lot of foam should rise to the top. You want to make sure to take that off. That's just some impurities in there. Once you get rid of all that foam, we're going to turn it down to a low simmer and let it cook for about 45 minutes to an hour. All right, while our stock is simmering, we're going to make good use of that time. We're going to go ahead and cut up some of the vegetables that we're going to be using in the shrimp and grits. We've got here some garlic, some onion, and we're going to save the skins and tops for our little stock bag. Some green onion and mushrooms. So we'll go ahead and get those cut up and ready. Our stock is done. So we're going to take it over here. And we are going to strain it into a colander. And I've got some cheesecloth there so that we don't end up with any of the shells, pieces of the onions, or the carrots. All right, we are left with a rich, deep shrimp stock. All right, now that our stock's made, let's get this party started. We're going to bring home the bacon. We're going to fry it up in a pan, but it's not just any bacon. It is nitrate-free, as well as hormone and antibiotic-free. All right, I like to buy the best quality ingredients because the damage is cumulative. Okay, we're going to start with a nice head of organic cauliflower for our grits. I like to go with organic because Damage is cumulative. I've been around for a few decades and I don't want to build up the pesticides. After your bacon's nice and crisp, you're going to go ahead and drain it on some paper towels, and then we're going to crumble it and set it aside, and it'll be used as the final garnish. Save all our yummy bacon grease, and we are going to cook up the mushrooms and the onions and the garlic that we cut up earlier. I'm going to stir fry those over a medium-low heat until they're just a little bit tender. Okay, after the mushrooms and onions are nice and tender, I'm going to go ahead and put in the stock. And I'm using about 12 ounces of stock. And since I've started cooking Primal, one of the challenges has been to thicken the sauces. I've tried a different variety of things. I've tried coconut flour, I've tried almond flour, and I found reduction being best. So we're going to let this come to a nice little simmer, and we're going to let evaporation take over. I'll add a little bit of thickener. Add some salt first, some sea salt, quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and once that's reduced down, we will add a nice little thickener at the end, and we'll go over a couple of different kinds to use. Alright, the sauce is looking good. It's starting to get a little bit thick here. It's been going for about 10 minutes. We're going to let it go for about 5 more. And in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get the grits ready. It should be done nice and tender. You can leave these plain. I do like to put just a little bit of butter in them before I mash them. If you wanted to go more totally paleo, you could use coconut butter instead, or some organic ghee would be delicious. We have here some raw butter that I'm fortunate enough to be able to get from a local source. So we're going to use a little bit of that. And I use just a plain old masher. I don't like them too small. I just like a nice consistency. I cook them tender. And I even put salt and pepper in them because we're going to use the flavor from the sauce. Sauce is looking good. It's just about the thickness we want, so we can go ahead and add in our shrimp from earlier, along with our quarter cup of green onions that we chopped up earlier. We're going to cook it for about 3 minutes, or until all the shrimp turn pink. Okay, we're almost ready. They look delicious. The sauce is just about at the right consistency, although we do want it just a little bit thickener. So at this point, you would want to add some type of a fat thickener. If you want to keep it purely paleo, coconut milk is quite delicious. I have made it with it this way. I'm going to add about a 1/3 cup of whatever I choose. But today, my favorite is to add some cream to it. And not just any cream. We're going to use some special cream. We're going to use some raw cream. If you are fortunate enough to be able to find raw cream in your locale, as I am here, it's not available in every state. Some states, believe it or not, it's illegal. You can buy booze and cigarettes, but you can't buy raw dairy. How do they get away with it though? It's illegal in the state of Florida. No, I'm not bootlegging, but it's labeled as pet food, not for human consumption. So, yeah, it works. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put about 1/3 of a cup in here. That ought to thicken it up nicely, give it a good rich flavor. There we go. And I take it off the stove to add this because I want to maintain all those nice live enzymes. All right, anyone hungry? All right, let's spoon a generous portion of our cauliflower grits and shrimp with mushrooms. Voila! Dinner is served. Honey, shrimp and grits, time to eat.
I'm watching football.
Rick?
Do I recognize me? I wouldn't. I'm not famous. Toyota.
Honey, shrimp and grits. You either gonna come in here and eat,
Yours do it.
or you can kiss my grits. Now get in here.
It's so
I didn't know it was shrimp and grits.
Well, you never listen.
Fourth quarter here at South.
Enjoy, y'all.
It's 16 to 10.
It was really good.